What's going on, Fit Fam? Welcome on back to my channel. My name is Megan Janice, the founder of Nomadic Fitness, and I teach you ladies how to eat way more food without any restrictions and work out smarter instead of harder so you can build that bang and hourglass body and keep it for life with ease. So speaking of eating way more food, working out smarter to really seriously build the lower body especially, that is what I'm going to be sharing with you in today's video. How I myself have seriously seen some massive leg and glute gains in just the last 4 months. So I'm going to be sharing the huge insights I've had around not being afraid to gain weight and how that means you're actually going to build that booty and really see some serious shape in your lower body, how you need to seriously eat so much more than you think you do. I've been eating just an absurd amount and it has paid off. And really that is not about going so crazy hard in the gym, but actually being super effective and super targeted with your workouts. So let's get into it so we can all get some booty and leg gains together. Okay, so here you can see the transformation that I have gone through. So on the left, that was me just 4 months ago, about mid-December 2022. So this was getting close to the end of the last cut that I did. And most of that cut, I was eating just under 2,000 calories, about like 1970 calories. And then the lowest I got down to was about 1850 calories. And sure, you know, I got leaner, but as you can see, I just look kind of small, kind of skinny, and especially I really look a little bit shapeless on my lower body in particular. So even for me, somebody who is a fitness coach and really knows a ton about fitness, a lot more than the vast majority of the population, I admit that I too fell prey to what so many women are constantly sabotaging the results with by thinking that they always need to be focused on losing fat instead of really focused on actually gaining. And the fear that comes with that, they think that if the weight is going up on the scale, if they are going to be eating a ton, if they're going to be lifting challenging weights, that they're just going to turn into this huge blob, that they're going to be shapeless, and that they're just going to gain a ton of fat. I thought that getting the results that I wanted, getting that really sculpted, defined, sexy, feminine body meant cutting all the time, meant always obsessing over fat loss, trying to cut down, get into more of a deficit and lean out. And yes, when you lean out, sure, you're gonna see some nice definition, and I did get some good results in that way around that time. But what I have since realized is that I've spent years really just focusing on trying to always be cut, which would give me some really nice ab definition and essentially really kind of a nicely defined upper body in general. But here's what I really realized is that if you do not take a significant amount of time to really focus on gaining muscle, and doing that means you're gonna have to sacrifice cutting for a very long time because you can't do one and also do the other. If you're gaining muscle, that means you are in a mild surplus of calories. You're eating a little bit more than the amount that you are burning so that your body actually has an excess amount of energy that it can use to then create muscle. Because if you are only eating at maintenance, or if you're eating even less than that, there's no way your body is going to be building muscle. So this is just a huge pitfall for so many women, is they think, okay, this ideal body that I want is one that is smaller, it is one that weighs less, and it is one that is constantly in a deficit and always chasing fat loss. And I just have really realized that is seriously a lot of the time not the case. So around this time, I really started researching a lot of these other women in the industry that I look up to who really had some serious booty gains, very nice build on their lower body, and really just had those amazing curves. And then I started watching them and thinking, you know, that's actually what I want to look like. I want to look like somebody who actually really has shape. So following these girls, I started to realize that a lot of them eat close to like 3,000 calories a day, which, you know, that really blew my mind because obviously that was so much more than I was eating. But then it all made sense because I'm like, well, yeah, you got to be seriously eating a lot of food if you want to put shape on your body, because it can't come from nowhere. It needs fuel to be created. So essentially I decided, okay, enough is enough. I don't want to be cutting anymore. I don't want to just be obsessing over always being lean and chasing fat loss, only to lean down and not really have any shape on my lower body. So I decided to hire my own fitness coach who had the kind of physique that I really want, who has a seriously muscular lower body, so great glutes, great legs. And I decided, you know what? I just want you to show me exactly what to do, exactly how much to eat, exactly how to work out, because these are the results that I want. So starting about the end of January, we started working together, and right away she got me eating more food, still working out the same amount, but incorporating a lot more isolation on the glutes, and also decreasing how much weight I was using a lot of the time and focusing more on actual tension on the glutes. So really slow, controlled range of motion, doing higher reps, and just overall more time under tension. So not necessarily trying to lift so much weight on the glutes, but really just keeping that muscle mind focus actually on the glutes so that they will grow. So I went from eating under 2,000 calories, even like 1850, right away we got me back up to about 2,300, then up to 2,400, and now I'm at about 2,600 calories a day. So that's actually the most food I I've ever eaten in my entire fitness journey. And it makes so much sense that this is the most I've ever eaten. And of course, it's the most lower body results I've ever had. It's gonna completely correlate. Now, also the difference between these photos, between just 4 months, on the left, at the end of that cut, I had got down to about 136 pounds. I'm 5'5" just for reference. And now I'm weighing 146 pounds. So in these 4 months, I have gained 10 pounds on the scale. And actually 146 pounds, that's the heaviest I have ever weighed since I have gotten into fitness. And I got into fitness like 7-8 years ago. So that alone has been kind of a shock to be like, wow, this is the heaviest I'm weighing, but it's also the biggest booty and the most leg definition that I've ever had. And what's also crazy is that I'm eating so much more food now than I was when I was cutting, but you can see from the front that my abs look almost exactly the same. They're like a tiny bit less cut than they were when I was cutting, but overall you can see I look pretty much just as lean as when I was eating a lot less. So now I'm still having my abs, but the difference is I'm eating a ton more, which gives me way more flexibility. It's way more sustainable. And I'm also building legs and glutes while still keeping that lean upper body. So it's just such a win-win. It's so much better this way, let me tell you. So once again, it just makes so much sense that in order to really see a lot more shape and kind of a lot more mass, but good quality, shapely mass on my lower body, I had to get over thinking that I shouldn't weigh anymore. I wasn't really obsessed about this, but I know a lot of women are. They think that gaining weight on the scale is a bad thing. And I'm here to tell you, a lot of the time, the body you actually want to have that's gonna be really bootylicious with a small, tight waist, sculpted arms, and really nicely defined legs, that is going to be a heavier body than you might be at right now. Now, obviously for women who have more than 30 pounds of body fat to lose, this could potentially change, but again, you might not lose as much weight on the scale as you think you should. And just remember that gaining weight is not the same as gaining body fat, okay? Body fat obviously is gonna look really different. It's gonna take up a lot more space than just gaining muscle. So right away, as soon as I started eating a lot more and working out a lot smarter to really focus on glute growth, I started to see crazy good results even just within 1 month. And I admit I was shocked that I could see results that fast, because you always hear that it takes a really long time to gain muscle. And I do agree that you have to really be focused on muscle gain for like a year. You should go in thinking, I'm gonna take the next 12 months, even longer, to just focus on gaining muscle and not do any cutting. So I was really shocked that I could see such a difference even within 1 month. So if I can see this much progress now, even in 4 months, I'm so excited what I'm gonna see even in a year from now, because I am in it for the long term, because this is my #1 goal, is to actually really look like somebody who is very, very fit, who has a lot of muscle. And then what's gonna happen is me and my coach, we're gonna be working together to be gaining muscle this entire time over the next year. And then of course, there is gonna be a little bit more body fat just because we have been in a gaining phase. We haven't spent any time cutting down the body fat. So then what we're gonna do is actually go into a cut after we have spent all of this time gaining muscle. So then after the next time I cut, I'm really going to look like somebody who has some serious lower body definition. And this is kind of the mind F around all of this, is that you're actually going to look leaner when you have so much more muscle underneath the body fat. You can see even just in this 4-month transformation of my photos that I didn't actually look as lean as I do now, because before I didn't have as much muscle underneath. So just remember that it's the muscle that is really creating that smooth toned skin and all of that firm definition. All right, so here are the steps for you to also implement to also start seeing some serious leg and booty growth. #1 is don't be afraid to gain weight. A lot of the time, the body you actually want to have, especially some serious glutes and legs, is a heavier body than you think. So gaining weight on the scale is not bad. It means that you are putting on muscle. You have to get over that. You have to trust the process that eating a lot of food is going to get you where you want to be, and stop obsessing over just trying to be lean and realize that you're actually going to look more lean when you have the muscle on your body. Okay, so then the second thing is make sure that you actually are in a moderate calorie surplus. So you want to make sure that you're not just unnecessarily gaining a bunch of extra body fat, because obviously if you're eating like in a crazy surplus and you're kind of just eating whatever, then yeah, you are going to gain a lot of body fat also with the muscle, which means you're going to have to take a lot of time to lose that fat. You just don't want to do it. You obviously want to be still looking lean while you're also putting on muscle. So this means you need to actually still control your food in a very similar way that you would when you're in a deficit, when you're trying to lose fat. It is a little bit more flexible. You don't need to be quite as precise, but overall, you don't want to just be completely random and thinking, oh, well, I'm just in the gaining phase anyway, it doesn't really matter. It does matter. You want to make sure that you're still doing things right. So of course, in order to even know what a moderate surplus would be for you, you obviously have to figure out what is your body currently burning, what is your maintenance level, and how are are you going to increase from there? So if you don't know the amount of calories that you should be eating, then check out the video in my link below because I walk you through how to customize that and then how to continue to increase. So yeah, just because I'm eating 2,600 calories a day does not mean that you should be. There's actually probably a lot of women out there who are going to need to eat even more than I need to eat to see some growth. And there's others who maybe don't need to eat as much. It completely depends on you because everybody is unique in the amount of energy that they're burning and what their lifestyle looks like and then just how their body is. So don't copy me, figure it out for yourself in the video below. So in order to make sure that you actually are in a moderate surplus, you need to be keeping an eye on the amount of food that you're eating. So actually tracking your food in an app like MyFitnessPal. Because trust me, a lot of the time you think I'm eating a lot, I'm eating enough, but if you actually input everything in a food diary and looked at the numbers, you might be surprised that it's still not enough. You need to actually, for a fact, know that you are eating enough. And if you are eating and you're not really seeing muscle gain, well then that actually means that it's still not enough food. Even if you calculated that's how much you should be eating, but after weeks you're really not seeing any change, that just goes to show you need to be eating more because it's actually still not enough for growth. And honestly, a lot of the time you might have to get a little uncomfortable with how much food it actually is. I know there's a lot of the time where I go look at my food diary and I'm like, oh my God, I still have to eat so many more carbs because carbs especially, you're gonna need to eat a ton of to really see those glute gains. And it's just like, seriously, like what can I even eat? So sometimes I'm just chugging things like a Powerade just so I can easily get in a lot more carbs, or just eating like a ton of bread, a ton of bagels. So you think, you know, I've already eaten so much for the day, but when you look at the numbers, you might have to push yourself to really try to eat more than you feel comfortable to do. Because again, it needs to be a surplus. It needs to be extra above what your body is burning in order for there to be gain. Okay, and then the last thing to really see some glute and leg gains is of course going to be how you are training. You need to be actually putting the right resistance on the right muscles in order to have the shape that you want. So again, it just goes without saying that you need to be training with adequate equipment. If you really want to gain some muscle, that means you need to be putting some serious resistance on those muscles, and you're not really going to be able to do that with some light dumbbells at home. I strongly recommend going to a gym so you actually have access to all of the equipment that you're going to need to really overload your glutes and really be able to target them. If there's just no way you can go to a gym, then you definitely want to be getting yourself some heavy dumbbells, a barbell, and plates that you can use at home. So the biggest eye opener about what I have kind of changed since working with this coach to really make these lower body gains is that although we have still been focusing on your heavy staple compounds, so definitely doing lots of deadlifts still, lots of squats, but specifically we've actually been doing hack squats, which I have loved. And that's because I told my coach that I really want to see some quad definition. So that is an amazing exercise to really isolate your quads. But the biggest difference has been that we have incorporated a lot of isolation work for the glutes, and some of that has still been kind of heavy, but actually a lot of it has been with lighter weight, but going for higher reps and then keeping a longer amount of time under tension on the muscle. So for example, I'm doing hip thrusts 3 times a week, which I definitely would encourage you if you really want to see glute gains, because obviously hip thrust is the #1 for building glute. And one of those days I am going really heavy on the hip thrusts, but then the other 2 times I'm actually going for about 12 to 15 reps, and then I'm just increasing the time under tension. So I'm holding the rep at the top for like 2 to 3 seconds and then coming down for another 2 to 3 seconds. Or sometimes I'm pulsing 3 times at the top. So just overall, we're really trying to increase the actual tension on the glutes. And then in addition, we've been doing lots more isolation exercises. So things like cable kickbacks, abductions, good mornings, which is not completely an isolation exercise, but is definitely targeting where you want to target, and reverse hypers. And again, going for high reps there, something like 15 to 20 reps, sometimes even 25 reps, because you really just want to target the exact muscle you want to hit, which in this case is glute, and really just absolutely burn it out. So I have still been really focusing on getting super strong at my deadlifts, hack squat, lunges, and that overall is building both glutes and legs, because especially to build legs, you're going to need to do some compound stuff. But then when you really want to extra isolate glutes as well, that's really where the isolation work goes such a long way. All right, fam. So that is it. It is not rocket science, but you need to stop being obsessed with just losing weight on the scale and just being really cut, but then not having much definition underneath that, and be okay with trusting the process, knowing it's going to take time, knowing you might have to get a little bit uncomfortable, eat a ton of food, not be like crazy cut, but knowing you're going to eventually look super cut with a lot of shape by taking the time to build the muscle and taking a lot of time to do it, because it's not going to happen in just a few weeks. You are going to start to see results in just a couple of weeks, which is very exciting. But to really put on muscle, you need to be going in thinking, okay, I'm doing this for the next year at a time. So focus on eating a lot, be patient, don't be afraid afraid to gain weight. Remember that the body you want is actually a heavier body a lot of the time, and train smarter, not harder, making sure to include a lot of time under tension, really focusing on the target muscle and doing some isolation in addition to your compound exercises. So if you need help putting this all together and you want somebody who can completely guide you through the entire process, that is what I do as a one-to-one coach. You can click the link below to apply and work with me directly so that me and my team can help you build some serious legs and glutes while still keeping lean abs. All right, Fit Fam, that is the video. Thank you so much for joining me. In the next one, I'm gonna be sharing with you an actual glute isolation workout because I'm actually about to go do that. So I'm gonna go put it in a whole other video so you can see what one of these glute sessions actually looks like. If there's anything that you wanna see from me, comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.